Hey, this is Max here and welcome to this ActiveCampaign tutorial for beginners. In this tutorial you will learn how you can set up your account, how you can manage your lists, how you can create a form and also customize the look of that form. And then we're going to dive into automations because I think automations is probably the best part of ActiveCampaign. So I want to show you how you can build an automation that is going to deliver a lead magnet right after someone submits a form. And then when someone is not opening that email, we want to resend that email 2 days later. And then we're going to create a second automation, and that automation is to onboard new contacts after they received their download. And then last but not least, I also want to show you how you can track how engaged your contacts are with lead scoring. So plenty of cool stuff. This is going to be a rather long tutorial, so I will also make sure to put the timestamps below this video so that you can skip around when you need to. And if you're not an ActiveCampaign user yet, I also put my link down there. So when you use that, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. So let's dive right in. We're going to get started with creating a new account. So the first thing that you have to do when you don't have an ActiveCampaign account yet is obviously to create one. So what you can do is you can start your free trial, and it means that you can try ActiveCampaign out for 14 days for free. They're not even asking for your credit card. So I think that is pretty cool. Then you have to type in your email address and then you have to click start your free trial. Now then ActiveCampaign is going to ask us a couple of questions. So here, what is your name? So my name is Max. And then it will say, okay, hey Max, can we get your phone number? So here I'm just going to type a fake one. You obviously have to enter a real one, right? And then I'm going to click next. Tell us a bit about your business. So here you just have to say, okay, what is your industry? What is the industry of your business? So here I just click something random now. How many employees do you have? How many contacts do you have? And then I'm going to click next. And then great, what are the goals that you would like to achieve? Okay, I'm just going to click some and then I'm going to click next. And then what other tools do you currently use? I'm going to skip this step. And then you have to type in some kind of password. And then we click take me to my account and your account is being created. And then you get like a little checklist when you log in for the first time. I usually don't do these things. I just say here, okay, mark all items complete and dismiss this checklist. So I'm going to click remove. And then the first thing that we want to do is we want to go over to settings. And we want to add an address to our account, because to send emails, you need to include your address inside your emails, some kind of like anti-spam law. So to do that, you just go over to addresses, and then we're going to click here, add an address. Then you have to put in your country. So I'm based in Germany. My company name is Collenberg. My address is Main Street, number 12. And my postal code is 5000 and I'm based in Cologne, and I'm going to click add address. So that's the first thing that you really need to do. And then we need to go over to lists to create our list. So what I recommend doing is to create two lists. I always have a main list and a customers list. So you see over here, we already have a master contact list. So what I want to do, I want to edit this, and I want to call this main list, and I'm going to click save. And I'm going to create a customers list. So here, customers, and I'm going to click add. So now we have these two lists. So this is really what I recommend sticking to. I know some people like to create a list for every form that they use, for every lead magnet that they use, but I would really not do that. Like, lists are basically the broadest kind of segmentation. So I just recommend using these two lists. So then the next thing that we want to do is we want to create an email template. So there's going to be a template that we're going to use for all our emails, so the look of our emails. So to create it, we go over to campaigns, and then in campaigns, we go over to manage templates. And then you see over here that we don't have any templates. So we're just going to create a new one. We're going to say, okay, create a template. And then here you already see a bunch of templates that they created, but we are going to start from scratch. So here you can choose between standard and custom HTML. If you're a bit more advanced, I would maybe recommend using HTML, but the standard one is also really fine. And I think it's much more suitable for beginners, and you can still basically do everything with it. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to click standard. I'm going to click continue. And then you see over here the email builder. So this is what you can build your emails with. So the purpose of this template is to basically create a base that we can use for all our emails so that we do not have to create the look of our email over and over and over again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get rid of this. And also here is some white space. I also want to remove that. And also this block, I'm not sure what that is. I think also some white space. So then you see that we only have this text. So what I want to do at the top, I just want to say here, hey, first name. So this is the first name personalization tag. So by including this in your email, the first name will appear. So I'm going to do that here. And then what I want to do is I want to make the text a little bit bigger. I want to make it 16. And then what I want to do is I want to align the whole thing here to the left. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to include like a little signature, max PS, and then I'm going to say repeat the call to action, and I want to make PS bold. And then here I want to include a link. This is a link. And then I'm also going to link that to a page. marskonberg.com. So again, we're just creating like a base here, right? So you just want to make sure it includes like your greeting, your signature, a PS section, so that you can really easily, when you create new emails, you can just use this template. So I'm just going to add some enters here, going to do this, and then this is basically already it. Then I want to change the color of the links. So my branding is a little bit yellow, and then I want to make it a bit darker because yellow is a bit difficult to read. Then we're not going to include a border, snap to grid, we just leave it alone. The width is set to 650, so that means that the maximum width here is 650. And that is basically that. So yeah, why I do this and not create like a super nicely designed email template is because I think those really overly designed emails, they look very spammy, very promotional, like they look like it's an advertising. Well, I think if you would consider using an email template like this, it looks much more like it's an email that comes from a friend. So I will also put a template like this in the description below so that you can just import it and change to your own needs in case you don't want to create this from scratch. But that's basically already it over here. Then we're going over to save and exit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to get started with creating some forms. So a form is basically just like a place where people can enter their email address to enter your list. So you just go over here to forms, view forms, and then you see that we don't have any forms yet. Then we're going to click create a form, and then we're going to give it a name. So this form is going to be for my ActiveCampaign cheat sheet, and it's going to be an inline form, which means that it's basically like embedded on a page kind of. And then we have to add an action, so subscribe to a list, and then we want to add people to our main list. And then what I also want to do is I want to add a tag, and then the tag that I want to use is event requested ActiveCampaign cheat sheet. So a tag is basically like a little label that you add to a contact. I can also show you that later, but a contact can have multiple tags about different things. So when you're going to use tags, I would always try to stick to some kind of like naming convention. So you see here that I have event between brackets, so it's like an event tag, then the thing that is happening, so in this case requested something, and then the thing that they requested. So it's always clear for me what this tag is for. Then I'm going to click create, and then our form will be created. And then you see that this is the standard form that ActiveCampaign is giving you. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to get rid of all these unnecessary things that I don't want to use. So I'm just going to remove this. I also want to remove the branding. To remove the branding, you go over to style, and then here at the bottom, you can remove the branding. And then what I want to do now is I want to replace the full name by the first name. So to do that, I go over to fields, and then I'm going to remove the full name, and I want to drag in the first name because I don't need to know someone's full name. I just want to know their first name so that I can like call them out by their name. And then if you want, you can also change the field header. So there's this little text above this field, and then also the text. This is like the placeholder that you see in here. So what I like doing, and this is personal, you don't have to do that. I like to remove the field header. So I want to remove this. And I also want to remove this one for email. So this way, I think the form looks way cleaner and still clear that here needs to go the first name and here the email address. So then what we're going to do now is we're going to style this form a little bit. So by default, for some reason in ActiveCampaign, you cannot do so much. Like here you can see, like we can change the background color, we can change the font color, we can change the border radius, which means that they get like, basically like a little bit of like a rounded border, the width of the form, and then also the button over here. So one thing that we're going to do, we're going to make the button yellow because that fits more to my branding. Then we have the text should be white, and then corner radius and padding should be a little bit more. It should maybe be 15. But that's basically all you can do here. So if you want to customize it more, and that's what we're going to do now, you're going to need a little bit of CSS. So it's like, I'm not sure if it's a coding language, programming language, but it's something that you can use to change the look of this. So what we need to do is we need to use this over here, the custom CSS input over here. And then what we can do is we can use the inspector. So you can just say here, okay, inspect, and then you can just select this whole form, and then you see that we get a little code over here. So this tells us, okay, we want to change the form element, and then here we start and here we close. And then what I like to do is I like to remove the padding. So you can do that with this code. So you say padding, and then here colon 0 pixels, and then this is important, and then we close it off. And then again, we also want to change the margin important. So you see now over here that everything around it basically got removed, and also this space over here, right? You see here, if I change the padding to 50, then you see that the space between the form and this dotted line is becoming way bigger. So this is what I like to do. And then the next thing that I want to do is I want to style the fields a little bit, because I think these fields look very small. So again, to do that, we go here, inspector, and then you just select your form over there or your field that you want to change. And then what I want to do is I want to say, okay, I want to add padding 10 pixels. So now you see that this one has more space than this one, right? So I think that looks quite nice. And then we're going to repeat it for the second one. So here is, okay, padding 10 pixels. All right. And then I want to change the look of the button. So to do that, inspector, we go over to the submit button. And then what I want to do is I want to change the font size. So I want to make the font bigger. So you see that it now became bigger, right? You see that over here, pix. And what I also like to do is to change the font white. So we want to make it bold. So now you see it became a little bit bolder. And then if you want to, it's also optional. So I like that this button is completely full width. So to do that, you type this width 100%, and then our form looks like that. So now we basically changed it to our own needs. Now then there's some other settings that you can do as well. So you can, for example, change what happens when someone is submitting this form. So do you just want to show a thank you message? So that right now this would show up, thanks for signing up. I personally think that's very boring if you do it like that. So what I like to do is to link to a page on my website that is a bit more welcoming. So maybe with something like, hey, welcome, your cheat sheet will be there in about 10 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in a random URL, and then I'm going to say welcome, and then people go to that page on my website when they fill out that form. Now then we have the form actions. We already set those, but if you want to change them, you can do that here. So subscribe to a list and edit tag. One thing that's important to mention with subscribe to a list is that you can change the double opt-in if you want to. So by default, the opt-in confirmation or the double opt-in is on. That means that people who fill out that form, they're first going to get an email. They're going to get this email that says like, hey, thanks for subscribing to Max. You or someone has subscribed to this list on blah, 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 and confirm my subscription. So I personally really don't like using that. So I just turn it off, and then I'm going to click save, but that's up to you. And yeah, that is that over there. Allow blank fields to override existing field data. So if the first name is not filled out and it is blank, then it can override the first name. So we don't want to do that. And maybe also one thing that we want to do here, the first name, we want to make it required. So now we created and styled our form, and then we want to integrate it. So we want to integrate it to our website. So you can do this in a couple of different ways. So I just will show the way that I'm using to do it. So you can use the simple embed code or the full embed code. So the full embed code is just the complete code for this form, and the simple embed code is basically, yeah, I guess like this embedded in like a shorter URL on a page or something. So just to keep it simple, I will just go for the simple embed option. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to a page on my website. So that is this one. So this is the page, and I want to embed it over here. So where should I send it to? This is where I want to have that field. So I'm going to edit the page, and then yeah, so I'm using the WP Bakery page builder. It's a bit older, but I just really like using it. So if you're doing it in a different way, yeah, you probably need to do it somehow different, but I just want to show you how I'm doing it. So I have this like HTML block, and then the only thing I have to do is I have to save the changes, I have to update it and paste it in there. And then we go back to the page, and then you see that I have my form over here now. Now you see that I have a little problem here. Like my button is yellow and my background is white and it is not centered. So let's just fix that real quick. We're going here to edit the form. And then what I want to do is I want to change the background color. So you see here the background is set to white, but I want to make it transparent. So I'm going to make it transparent. And this button, the button color background, should be black or like near black, also fine. And I'm going to click integrate. And then I think the benefit of using this also is that it's automatically updating. Like if you're using the full embed code, you need to paste the full embed code in it again, but because we use the simple embed, you will see that when I refresh the page, that it now looks like this. So it's not centered yet. So we're also going to fix that quickly. So to fix that, we have to go over to the CSS. And I think that is because of the margin. So now you see that I removed the margin. So then it is now in the center. So I'm going to refresh the page, and then it should be fine. Yes, now it's perfect. Like this is how I want it. So this is how we create the form. So now what we want to do is we want to trigger an automation as soon as someone fills out that form, so that we can deliver the ActiveCampaign cheat sheet in this case, which is, by the way, a real thing. You can also find it in the description below. It has some like handy tips and tricks about ActiveCampaign. So now we're going to create automation. So you just have to go over to these automations and then click create an automation. So then we do that. And then it will ask you how you want to start. So ActiveCampaign also has lots of templates. I personally don't use those so often because you cannot really see beforehand what's in it. So I like to start from scratch, or you can import an automation. So the automations that we're going to create, I will also put those in the description below. So if you want to import those, then I'm going to give you a URL. Then when you click this button, import an automation, you can do that. Then it will ask you for an automation URL. You just paste that in there, and then you click import, and then you have the automation. But for now, we're just going to click create an automation and start from scratch. And we're going to click continue, and this is going to give us a blank automation. So this is our blank automation, and then the first thing that it will ask is to add a start trigger. So a start trigger is the trigger that will start your automation. So there are really lots of different start triggers available, like when someone subscribes to a list, unsubscribes from a list, when someone submits a form, when someone opens or reads an email, clicks a link inside an email, when a web page is visited. You can do that with site tracking, when someone replies to an email, or a bunch of other things. But what we now want to do is when a tag is added. So when a tag is added, we want to start this automation. So we want to use the same tag that we used, that we added as an action inside our form. So that was ActiveCampaign cheat sheet. And then you can set it to if it should run once or run multiple times. So if you set it to run once, when this tag is added, then only this automation will only start once. While if you set it to multiple times, And imagine this tag is added to a contact, the automation will start. And then if we remove that tag and the tag gets added again, then the automation will start for a second time. But with tags, it's a little bit different, because if someone already has this tag, they cannot have the tag for a second time if they already have the tag. So then we're going to click Add Start. And then we are asked to add a new action. So what I want to do right away, I want to send an email. So I'm going to click here, create an email, then the email name. So I'm going to call this checklist for first name. So this is just the name of the email for yourself. So this will not be visible to your contacts. So just give it like a good descriptive name of what that email is for. And then I'm going to click create, and then you will also see why that email template is so handy. So now we're going to look for the email template that we just created. So where is it? I don't see it over here. I guess it is this one. So I probably forgot to give it a name. We're just going to say here, select, and then I'm going to send here, okay. And then the subject is going to be checklist for first name. And then what we want to do is we want to add a modifier to first name. So we have first name, then a pipe symbol, and then we type lower %. So what this does is that it adds the first name to the subject, but then all lower capitalized. So like not capitalized, but like all lower. And then you can also set the from. So I can say here, okay, from Max van Gollenberg, and then the email address that you want to send it from. And then you see over here that it asks to be the domain to be verified. So I'm not going to do that now, but you should obviously do that. So then I'm going to click continue. And then you see that we have the template that we just created. So you see, by doing this, we just already have this. We don't have to do everything again, like the font size, that it's like aligned to the left, the link color, and also the structure of our email. So what I want to do is I want to create a new email, or I already wrote a new email. So I will quickly look that up. And that is the email that I want to use. So that is going to be this. So let me see. So here it says like, hey, first name. And then here's that pipe symbol again, and title case. So in this case, it will capitalize the first letter of someone's name and then make everything else lower. And then it says here, thanks for joining the list. Glad you found me on this little corner of the internet. From now on, I will send you one valuable email every Tuesday. In those emails, we'll focus on marketing automation strategies that will help you to grow your business. I think you will like it. But in the meanwhile, here's the ActiveCampaign cheat sheet you asked for. Download the cheat sheet. I hope it's helpful. Max, and then any questions, or just want to say hi, hit reply. So what I want to do is I want to make this conditional, because something that's really cool inside ActiveCampaign is that you can make content conditional. So we only want to show this text to people who are new on our list. So to do that, we have to create different text blocks. So I just have this text block, and here I'm going to click duplicate this text block. And then I want to separate this. So we have the first name, and I'm going to do it one more time. And then I want to have this text that says, thanks for joining the list. And then we end here with, but in the meanwhile. So we have that. Going to add an enter over here, and then also over here. So for some reason it did not do it over here. We'll do it again. All right. And then I will remove this text. And so this is the text that we want to make conditional. So for conditional content, what you can do is you can go over to this gear icon, and then you can set up a condition. But first, what we need to do is we need to tag subscribers or contacts who are new on our list, because otherwise we cannot make this conditional. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a new automation that is tagging new subscribers. So we're going over to automations. And then we're going to create a new automation. And this one is going to be really, really simple. So we just create a new automation. Then we're going to start from scratch. We click continue. And then the start trigger is going to be when someone subscribes to a list. I'm going to click continue. Then any list and only once. So we really only want to do this once, not multiple times. And then I'm going to click add start. So as soon as someone subscribes to any list, they enter this automation. And then what we want to do is we want to add a tag. So that tag should be status new on, or like new contact. And then we're going to click save, and we click save again. and then we're going to add a wait action. So a wait action can wait for a specific period of time. So we can just say, okay, add that tag, and then 30 minutes later we want to end, or we can say wait until specific conditions are met. I will also show you an example of that in a bit, but you can, for example, say wait until has opened any email. But in this case, we're just going to say wait for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to click save, and I'm going to end this automation, and I'm going to give this automation a name. It's called function tag new contacts. And then it's also very important to turn it on. So inactive, it will not do anything. If it is active, then from that moment on, new contacts will start entering this automation. So then we have this tag, right? And then we're going to see also here, contacts, if that tag is already created. So sometimes it's not. So to do that, you go over to contacts and then manage tags. And this is also really where you can manage all the tags that you have. So you see right now it says you do not have any tags. Usually these tags, they get created as soon as one contact is entering this automation. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to cheat a bit and I'm just going to say here, okay, add the tag. So then the tag is already added. And this way we can also use it inside this email. So then we're going to set the conditional content. We say here, make conditional. And then we say tag exists, status new contact, and then we're going to click OK. So what is really cool here is that it will always say, hey, Max, here is the ActiveCampaign cheat sheet you asked for. But if someone is just new on the list, then this automation will tag them for 30 minutes. So then the first 30 minutes when this email will be sent, it will also say thanks for joining the list, and then never again. Now, then one more thing we want to do here is we want to set an email and a link. We want to set a link to the ebook, so download, and then ActiveCampaign cheat sheet, but PDF. So it's like a fake link, but just like something like that. And then what I like to do is like to make it bold. And then if you want to change the subject, you can go over to the gear icon and you can click subject. Then you can also set a pre-header text, and the pre-header text is what will show up after the subject line in most email providers. So for example, with Gmail, they always show you the subject and then a little text snippet of what's inside that email. So you can change that over here if you want to. In this case, I'm not going to do it. I just want this to show. And then the from, so Max van Kollenburg, then your email address, and then automatically generates a text version of the email. I want to leave that to on because otherwise you have to do that manually. It's quite a lot of work. And we also want to enable mobile responsiveness. And then what is also really cool is that it will also do a spam check. So you can immediately see if you maybe used certain words inside your email. So for example, here it says that you are using a free email provider for your from email address. So that's because I use this fake vera.do@gmail.com email address. This obviously should be your business website. So you get some spam points for that. Then if you want, you can also send a test campaign to yourself. So that can also be quite handy if you want to double check if everything is working. Then we click next. And then we have these things again here. It also says our domain needs to be verified again. Now, don't worry about that for now. And then here you have your open and read tracking, link tracking, reply tracking, and our Google Analytics. So this you want to leave on, open and read tracking, because then ActiveCampaign will add like a little pixel to your email so that they can see when someone is opening your emails. And link tracking is that ActiveCampaign will turn all your links into a special ActiveCampaign link so that when someone clicks the link, they will still go to the same destination, but then ActiveCampaign knows that someone clicked it. Reply tracking, I personally don't use that, but if you want to know when people reply to your emails, you can turn it on. But one thing that you have to keep in mind, it also says this warning over here, is that your original reply to email address will change to something of ActiveCampaign. And then I know that most email providers like Gmail are going to give a warning. In Google Analytics, then it will just add some UTM parameters to the links inside your email. So then I'm going to click save and exit. And then we created our email. So then what I want to do is we send this email, but it's really important that people open this email because it's probably one of the first times they're going to get an email from us. So I really want them to open that email. So what I want to do is I want to resend an email when someone is not opening this email. So how do we do that? So for this, we're going to use a wait until action and an if else. So with the wait until action, it's really cool that you can say here, wait. So you can say wait for a specific period of time, what we did over here, wait for 30 minutes. Or you can say wait until specific conditions are met. And then what we can do is here we can say has opened checklist for first name, or has clicked on a link checklist for first name. So why do we check if they have opened it and also have clicked the link? Because if someone clicked the link, they obviously also opened the email. That's because, like I said earlier, ActiveCampaign is adding like a little pixel to your email so that they know when someone opened that email, when that pixel is basically loading. But some email providers, they block images. And if they do that, then ActiveCampaign doesn't know if the email was opened, but link clicks basically always work. So that's why I say here, has opened the email or has clicked on a link inside that email. So it's also important that you send it to or, because if you send it to and, then we basically check if they have opened the email and have clicked a link in the email. So I just want to check either or. So I'm going to click or, and then I'm going to click save. And then we can also set a time limit. So the time limit is for like people who do not do these things. So I'm going to say 2 days, and then I'm going to click save. So what it does now is that this email will be sent, and then it says wait until the contact has opened the email or has clicked a link inside the email for up to 2 days. So people who open the email or click a link inside the email, they will continue right away. And people who don't, they will continue after 2 days. So if you don't set the time limit, they will basically stuck in that wait action forever if they don't open that first email. So what I want to do then here, I want to add an if else. So an if else is basically allows you to split the automation based on a condition. So we basically want to enter the same conditions again. So has opened checklist for first name, or has clicked on a link checklist for first name, click add. And then you see that we have a yes path and we have a no path. So if they follow the yes path, that means that they engaged with our first email. So then we just want to end this automation. So then the contact will leave this automation basically. If they follow the no path, that means that after 2 days, they still didn't open this first email or still didn't click a link inside this email. So then what we're going to do is we're going to add a resend email. So we're going to send a new email, create an email, and then we just call this resend. So again, remember, this is not the subject. This is like the title for yourself. Checklist for first name, and then we're going to click create. And then we're not going to create the whole email from scratch again. We want to go over to past campaigns, and then we want to go here to the email we just created. And then what I like doing is to just have a different subject. So then instead of saying checklist for first name, I'm going to say here, okay, first name, pipe symbol, lower, comma, your ActiveCampaign cheat sheet. So like that. And then I'm going to click continue. And then you see that we have the same emails that we created previously. So you see here, hey, first name, title case. Then this piece of conditional content will only show to new contacts on our list, and then also the link. So this is all fine to me. Like I really want to state it the same, but I just want to have a different subject over there. And then we're just going to click next, and then we're going to check if everything is okay over there. So then over here you see our subject, pre-header tags, here options, open and read tracking, link tracking are both on. All right, and then I'm going to click save and exit. And then you see that the email, the resend email is created. And then what I want to do is I want to add another wait action after that one. And then we're going to say wait until, and then we're just say, okay, has opened. So what I want to do is I want to check if they have opened the first email or have opened the resend email or clicked on a link inside the first email or clicked on a link inside the second email. So we're checking both, because imagine we send the resend email and then someone is suddenly at that moment opening the first email while we just send the resend email. So then someone will just continue anyway. So then we're going to click save, and then we set a time limit. So again, I would just like to set here 2 days, and there's no specific reason for this, but then we just can see like, okay, who did not open our emails yet, and then after 2 days, then the automation will end anyway, and then we want to start our other automation, and our other automation is going to be for onboarding. So we want to create a little onboarding process of 4 to 5 emails that will be sent out to new contacts right after they finish this automation. So I'm going to give this a name. I just call this content, lead magnet delivery, ActiveCampaign cheat sheet. And then I will turn it on. And then as soon as someone fills out the form, then this email will be sent. And then if they open the email, then boom, we end the automation. If they don't, after 2 days, the resent email will be sent. And if they then still don't open it after 2 days, then the automation will still end. And if they open it right away, it will end right away. So then we're going to create our second, or actually already the third automation. So we're going to click here, create an automation. And then we're going to start from scratch. We're going to click continue. And then the start trigger is going to be when someone subscribes to a list, continue, and then select list. Any list runs only once. And then we're going to click add start. And then first I will give it a name. So we'll call this content onboarding new contacts. And then the first thing that we do want to do is we want to add a wait action. So we say wait until, and we want to wait until someone has or is not currently in our lead magnet delivery automation. And then we're going to click save. And then there's not going to be a time limit. We're just going to save again. So someone subscribes to any list, then the onboarding automation will start. And then if they are not currently inside the lead magnet delivery automation, it will continue right away. So imagine they just signed up for the ActiveCampaign cheat sheet. They're first going to get that email, and then the moment they open that email, then they will continue, because then they're not currently inside that automation anymore. And people will maybe just sign up for your list or your newsletter, so not like a download. Then the onboarding will also start, and then because they have never been in the lead magnet delivery automation, they will also continue right away. And then what I want to do is I want to add an email. So I'm going to add an email. I'm just going to click here, create an email. And this email is going to be called "You're in," something like that. And then I'm not going to write all those emails out in here, but I just want to show you one trick that you can use to build your automations a bit quicker. Is instead of writing all your emails, you're just going to click save and exit. And then you can basically build out your automation, add your emails, but not write them yet. And I found that for myself to be very efficient. So then you see now that we created this over here. So this email will be sent right after they are new on the list. And if they are in the lead magnet delivery automation, then this email will be sent when they exit that automation right after they opened the email in that automation. And then this email will be sent, and then something I would like to say in that automation is maybe with some conditional content to check their latest download. And then you can say like, hey, was the cheat sheet helpful? Or you can just say something like, hey, it's Max here. I just thought you're just new on the list, and I just wanted to tell a little bit about myself and also what you can expect and how I'm going to help you. So something like that. So the purpose of an onboarding automation is really to basically tell your story, to basically connect with that person a bit, and also really explain that person who you are and how you're going to help them. But maybe inside your onboarding automation, you also want to invite people for a free course, a webinar, a challenge, something like that. So you can just keep that in mind. So here we have this email, and then what I want to do is I want to wait until current time, because this is also pretty cool what you can do. You can say wait until the current time is 12 a.m. So we first want to wait until midnight, no time limit. Then we're going to click save, and then we say wait until the current time is 10 a.m. And then we're going to click save. And then we want to add our second email. So our second email is going to be called cool story. So there in that email, I will maybe tell my story or something like that. And then I'm just going to click save and exit again. And then we basically want to repeat this a few times. So why are we doing it with 2 actions and not just one wait action? So if you would do wait until the current time is 10 a.m., then imagine someone is getting this email at 9 a.m. because they signed up in the morning. Then 1 hour later, they would already get this one. So to make sure that they get the second email at 10 a.m. the next day, we first say, okay, wait until 12 a.m. and then wait until 10 a.m. And then what you can do is quite a handy trick. You can just move this block over here, and then you can say copy single action, and then you can say here, you can decide what the contacts who are currently in that wait, what will happen to them. So I want them to stay at their current position. There's also no one in it yet because we're still building it. So let's do it again. And this allows you to really quickly copy your wait actions, which I think is quite handy because sometimes it takes some time to set those up. So here we're basically just doing the same thing again, but instead, if you want, you can also say wait for 1 day. They will basically do the same because this email will be sent out at 10 a.m. But it's just the way that I like to do this. So then I'm going to add another email, and this email is going to be called Why I'm So Excited. And then I click save and exit again. And then I created that one. And then I will just do it one more time. Move single action. Or wait, copy single action, stay at the current position. Copy. And then I will also just move this one again. Stay at the current position. And then if you want, you can add some more emails to that. So in the onboarding sequence, I would always like to recommend maybe 4 to 5 emails. So again, the purpose of those emails is basically to make someone familiar to you and maybe also to invite them for a free email course, a webinar, a challenge, something like that. But for now, this is how I will leave it. And I'm going to turn this to active. And I will also just add an end automation here and this automation. So I would like to add one more email here, but I'm not going to do that again for now. And then what we want to do, which I think is pretty exciting, is we're going to set up some lead scoring because we want to know which contacts are maybe the most engaged and also which contacts are maybe engaged enough to pitch them something. So to set up your lead scoring, we need to go over to contacts and then you go over to manage scoring. And then we have to set up some lead scoring rules. So we're just going to click here, add a score. And then this is going to be a contact score. And then we're going to call this engagement scoring. So just I edit this. And then here I'm going to say engagement score. And ActiveCampaign doesn't allow you to save this really and make it active without one rule in it. So what you need to do is you need to add at least one rule over here. And then I'm just going to say here, opened any campaign or email, click save. And then here I can add points. So I personally don't like to do it this way. I want to score inside the automations. That's what we also do in a bit, but you have to set up at least one rule over here. So that's what we're doing here. Points will expire. You can also set when they expire. So here I could, for example, say I want this point to expire after 1 day because I actually don't want to set this up, but ActiveCampaign, for them, you need to set up at least one rule. And then I'm going to set this to active, and then our engagement scoring is active. We can start using it. So then we go over to automations, and then we're going to create a bunch of really simple automations. So we're going to create an automation, start from scratch, and this automation will be triggered when someone opens an email. So then the trigger is going to be open, reads an email, click continue. When the content is open, any email, any list. And because this is for lead scoring, we want to run this automation every single time someone is opening an email. So then we just say here, okay, at start. And then what I want to do is we go over to contacts, and then we want to say adjust a contact score. And then we say engagement score at. Now, then what I like to do is just like 1 point. So in case you're curious about more examples for engagement scoring, I also created a separate tutorial about that. So if you just look at my channel, then you can find that and see more examples of that. So here, I would say, okay, engagement score at 1 expires after 3 months. and then I'm going to click save. So why do we say here, okay, they expire? It is because people lose interest over time. So if you would not delete those points, then maybe it gives like a false overview of who is really engaged at that moment, because maybe those points are really old. So then here I'm going to say tracking opened email +1, something like that. And then we make this active, and also let's end this automation. So if you don't add this block, then the automation will still end. It's a bit more for yourself that it's very visual about where it will end. And then we're going to create a second one, and this is going to be for when someone clicks a link inside an email. Start from scratch, continue. And then the trigger is going to be clicks a link in an email, continue, any email, any list, any link, and then you have to set this to multiple times. And then we're going to click add start, and then we want to adjust the contact score. So we want to add 2 points for this, and this should also expire after 3 months. We're going to click save, and then we want to end this automation, and we also call this one tracking clicks link in email +2. Now, and then if you want to, you can create a bunch of other automations for this. You can, for example, also as a start trigger, have when someone visits a page on your website. So maybe if someone visits your checkout page, you maybe, for example, also want to add some points for that. So, but in this example, I just want to track how engaged people are with my emails. Now, then one more thing that I also like doing, and this is with custom fields. So a custom field is a little bit different from a tag, because a tag is basically like a little label that you add to a contact, and a custom field is more like a field that that contact has, and then that field can have one value, and then when you assign a new value, it will override the old value. So to go over to your fields, you have to go over to forms, manage fields, and then you see over here already some standard custom fields. So we have first name, last name, email, and the phone custom field. And these are in the group called general details. So if we want to, we can create a new group. And I really like to use groups to just organize my custom fields, because you will see when you get a little bit more advanced with ActiveCampaign, you're going to need more custom fields for all kinds of handy things. So I'm going to call this one engagement, and then I'm going to click create. And you see now that we have the general details group and also the engagement group. So then what I want to do is I want to create a custom field, last interaction, and I want to add this in the engagement group. And then you can set a field type. So there's lots of different field types. They have one for the text input, text area, date, date time, Dropbox, the list box, radio button, checkbox, and hidden field. ActiveCampaign also has some explanation about each of these custom fields on their website. So if you are not sure what all these things are for, then you can just look that up. But we are going to need a date type custom field, because what we want to do is we want to update the last interaction custom field with the date when they last opened an email or clicked a link inside an email. So I'm going to click add. And then you see now that we have a last interaction custom field in our engagement group. So now we go back over to our automations, and I'm going to open this automation. So open email. So this automation will be triggered as soon as someone opens an email, and then it will add +1 to someone's lead score, right? Then the second thing we're going to do is we are going to update a contact, and then we're going to say here, last interaction, new contact, for new content, current time. So it's a little bit confusing that it says current time, because it's going to add the current date in there. So now as soon as someone reads any email, then the lead score or the engagement score will go up by 1, but also the last interaction custom field will be set with the current date. So we're going to do that for the other automation as well. When someone clicks a link inside an email, and then we do the same over again. Contacts, update the contact, last interaction, current time, and then we are going to save this. So now we basically created all our automations. So we created a list, we created a main list, we created a customers list, we created a form, we added the form to our website, and then as soon as someone fills out that form, then our automation with the lead magnet delivery will start. So this automation. and then the email will be sent, and then as soon as someone opens this email, they will continue right away. And then in the if else, we check if they opened it or clicked the link inside the email. If yes, then we end this automation. If not, we resend the same email with a different subject, and then we wait until someone engaged with the first email or with the second email, and then we end that automation. So then as soon as someone ended this automation, and someone will continue in our onboarding automation. So you can see that over here. So someone is subscribing to any list, the automation will start, and then this wait says here, wait until is not currently in the automation lead magnet delivery. So again, if they just sign up for a newsletter, they will just continue right away and they get you are in email. And if they are in the other automation, then it will wait until someone engaged with either two of those emails, and then the automation will stop, and then it will continue. And then we send an email, and then the next morning at 10 a.m. we send another email. The next morning at 10 a.m. we send another email. Then we maybe send another email, whatever you want, and then we end the automation. And then we use the engagement scoring, like the lead scoring, and to tracking to create some automations. So as soon as someone opens an email, then this automation will start. As soon as someone clicks a link inside the email, then that automation will start. And then when someone just doing that, then we update the last interaction custom field with the date that someone is opening that email. So then maybe you can also use that to maybe trigger another automation when you see like, hey, this person didn't open any of my emails or click the link inside any of my emails for the last 6 months. So just unsubscribe that person from my list, because list cleaning is also very important. So yeah, I hope that this tutorial helped you to get started with ActiveCampaign. And I just wanted to mention that I have lots and lots of other tutorials here on YouTube. So you can just like click there on that playlist, and then you can watch way more tutorials if you like. And I also just wanted to let you know that if you have any questions about ActiveCampaign, just let me know in the comments below. I will try to respond to every single comment, and I will try to help you as best as I can.